Yo, what's going on everyone? FreakyDude99 here, and I'm back to share my brand new Stasis Titan build that absolutely shreds any content you throw at it. Whether it's a tier 7 deep dive, legend salvages, or grandmaster nightfalls, this build will have you covered. The amount of crystals you throw down and shatters you cause is insane, and has to be some of the most fun I've had with Stasis in a long time. And to top it all off, you can use 3 waveframe grenade launchers with this build to be the ultimate ad clear machine. So without further ado, let's jump into the subclass. Starting off, we have our super glacial quake for massive boss damage and ad clear. Using your super in almost any situation is a good idea, as spamming the heavy attack causes you to litter the battlefield with stasis crystals. When it ends, you can pull out a waveframe and fire it in to cause a massive detonation, able to shatter away any enemies. It can be a really strong super when used correctly, and helps make some encounters a lot easier. For our class ability, it doesn't matter what we pick since we have the exotic Hoarfrost Z. Our barricade is replaced by a stasis crystal wall that lasts 14 seconds. It gives rally barricade bonuses, but uses the towering barricade's cooldown. The stasis wall is primarily used for offense, as we can plant it directly on a target and detonate it for some great burst damage. For our melee ability, we have Shiver Strike, which we can use pretty much whenever it's up. It propels us forward, which can make it a good ability to get out of combat. It also shatters stasis crystals we go through, so it can be used for a detonation attack. We also have Focusing Strike and Impact Induction, so our melee generates 20% grenade and class ability energy on hit. For our grenade, we take Glacial Grenade for those big stasis crystals. They can be used for big shatter damage when planted on an enemy, they can also stun unstoppable champions, and they can be used to provide cover for your team. They're also just all around a really good grenade to have, and you'll be able to spam them out with this build. Moving on to our aspects, our first one is Diamond Lance. When defeating a target with stasis damage, we create a Diamond Lance that we can pick up and throw or slam down to freeze targets. This also gives us 3 fragment slots and gives us a really good ranged ability that we can freeze enemies from far away. Our second aspect is Tectonic Harvest, which allows us to create stasis shards that grant melee energy on pickup. It's a must-have for any stasis build, as stasis shards fuel a lot of our additional powers. Moving on to the fragments, we have Whisper of Shards, which grants 500% additional base grenade regeneration rate for 6 seconds with every stasis crystal shattered. This can be increased further to a cap of 10 seconds. Next, we got Whisper of Fissures, which gives us an increased damage on shatters and increases the size of the burst. Next, we also have Whisper of Chains for a 40% damage resistance when within 10 meters of a frozen enemy or a stasis crystal. We also have Whisper of Rime, which makes stasis shards heal HP, and when at full health it gives us an overshield. Additional shards refresh the 10-second overshield timer and heal it as well. And finally, Whisper of Conduction, so our stasis shards within 15 meters get pulled to us after a 1-second delay. And that does it for the subclass. Those fragments give us some really strong survivability and damage. Moving on from that, we got our weapons, and as mentioned before, you can use 3 waveframe grenade launchers if you want. This build is really versatile, as you can run anything you want and still have no issues. In the kinetic slot, you have the stasis waveframe New Pacific Epitaph, which is a lot of fun to use. Restoration Ritual makes it so when we finisher an enemy, it reloads the weapon and gives it an additional insta reload, effectively giving it 2 rounds after every finisher. This is really useful, as this weapon needs 2 shots to shatter a stasis crystal, as well as you can run something like Ager's Scepter for overload champions and more freezing, as well as Arbalest and Wish Ender for barrier champions. Any headstone weapon is very useful as well, and if you happen to have conditional finality, it hits quite hard. In the energy slot, there's a whole bunch of waveframes like Forbearance, Deafening Whisper, Explosive Personality, Harsh Language, and even the exotic Dead Messenger. All of these will one-shot a stasis crystal and are powerful in different ways, but you can also run anti-champion weapons if you need to. Finally, in the heavy slot, we have Dimensional Hypotrochoid, which is a really powerful stasis waveframe from Lightfall. It can roll with Chain Reaction and Envious Assassin, making it deadly with this build. There's also the new reworked Salvation's Grip, which can now charge up and fire a wave of stasis crystals and then tap fire to explode. Either of these weapons are top with this build and so much fun to use. Salvation's Grip can provide a lot of crystals for those benefits they provide, as well as Dimension can open up the exotic slot for more versatility. Again, the weapons are really up to you with this build, as long as you're running one waveframe for the quick stasis crystal detonation. Energy GLs can be fired at your feet and you'll take minimal damage for when you use your class ability as well. Moving on to the artifact mods, we don't need much as this is not a stasis season. We can pick up all of the anti-champion mods along with all of the authorized mods to reduce their cost to 1. We also got Deeper Origins, which buffs up the origin traits from Season of Deep weapons, Lightfall weapons, Root of Nightmare weapons, and Season of Defiance weapons. Those weapons also get a 25% damage increase when the overcharge modifier is active thanks to overcharged armory. And finally, countercharge, so when we stun a champion, we get a stack of armor charge. And with that, the artifact perks are picked as there isn't much to pick this season. Next up, we got our armor mods. Starting off with our helmet, we are using Harmonic Siphon, so stasis weapons spawn orbs of power. This can also be swapped out for Arc, Strand, or Void depending on what your main weapon of choice is. We're also using 2 Font of Wisdom mods, so we get a plus 50 in intellect while we have an armor charge. This allows us to get our super back fast without needing high intellect. For our stat distribution, we are focusing resilience for that sweet 30% damage resistance. Next, we focus discipline for that grenade regen, and then finally recovery for health regen. Down to the gauntlets, we have Font of Vigor, so we have a plus 30 in strength while we have an armor charge. We also use Impact Induction and Focusing Strike, so we get 20% grenade and class ability energy on charged melee hit. For our chest, we are using the exotic Hoarfrost Z, which replaces our barricade with a stasis wall made out of 4 medium crystals and a small crystal in the middle. It lasts for 14 seconds and gives rallying barricade effects with the towering barricade cooldown. It's extremely effective in dealing damage when placed on top of enemies and for providing cover. The stasis wall has all of the effects from our subclass, so it gives health and overshield along with damage resist and melee energy. For the mods, we rock 2 elemental resists depending on the activity's threat modifier, and then we use a different resistance, which is usually a concussive dampener. The 2 resist mods provide 25% damage resistance, and the single one provides 15% damage resistance. Down to the legs, we have elemental charge, which makes it so every 4th stasis shard gives us an armor charge. Since we have many ways of making shards, we always have armor charges to keep all our font mods up. We also have 2 stasis weapon surges for a 17% increased damage for stasis weapons. And finally, for the class item, we have Time Dilation, which extends our armor charge decay to 15 seconds up from 10, allowing for more uptime on passive mods. And we also have Bomber, so on class ability use we generate 12% grenade energy. And finally, Font of Restoration for a plus 30 into recovery while we have an armor charge active. All these mods with the right armor can give quadruple 100 stats and just turn you into an absolute beast. You can constantly be casting your super and creating waves of shards, your melee comes back quick and gives other ability energy, and your stasis weapons get more damage and you get more survivability. With there finally being a waveframe grenade launcher in every slot, you can fulfill your dreams in being the ad clear monster you were always meant to be. New Pacific Epitaph can get really good rolls including Demolitionist, which just means more Glacier Grenades, and the rework for Salvation's Grip makes it usable but also, dare I say, viable. Never in my years did I think the day would come. Using your class ability for the Stasis Wall along with your Glacier Grenade can help dish out some heavy damage and defense. The Stasis Shards heal you and give overshield, so getting close to your walls is always the play. This also means you can play riskier, as all the damage resistance stacking plus the healing means you can tank a lot of damage and dish a lot of it back out thanks to the crystal shatters. Diamond Lance is also a cherry on top, allowing for free damage and freezing from far away, which helps a lot when using 3 grenade launchers. Of course, there is a dim link in the description along with the picture on the screen if you want a screenshot for easy reference. The Stasis Titan build has got to be one of my favorites, and it's awesome to see it getting better and better with each season, as well as being usable in the Grandmaster Nightfalls. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching. I have been FreakyDude99, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, everyone.